Nothing in life is certain except for change, and AI is causing changes and shaking things up in the writing world like never before. Some authors are excited, some are furious, and some of us are somewhere in between. Today, we're going to talk about the tea, what's really going on, why some authors are panicking, and I'm going to give my 2 cents that nobody asked for on the topic of using AI in fiction writing. Hey writer, welcome back to the channel. I'm romance author G.S. Carr, and I created this channel to help you become the hero of your writing journey. So recently, BookBub did a survey of 1,200 authors, and they found that 45% of the authors who responded said they're using AI to assist with their writing. They're using it for things like research, marketing, outlining, editing, and brainstorming. On the flip side, 48% of respondents said that they aren't using AI and have no plans to do so. It's clear that AI is really dividing the author community. One of the biggest concerns many authors have around the use of AI is their intellectual property rights. They're upset, and reasonably so, that their books, years of hard work, sweat, and soul, are being used to train AI models without their permission or without proper compensation. If you've ever written a book or attempted to write a book, you know the struggle is real. Many authors think the use of their work to train AI models is theft and unethical. Legally, AI companies are arguing that using authors' work for training is transformative and falls under fair use. And needless to say, this is all still a murky area. The laws haven't caught up with the technology. That leaves a lot of authors feeling exposed and taken advantage of. And honestly, that's valid. It's unsettling to think that your creative labor is being used to train a system that might one day generate books that compete with your own. Hence why so many authors are up in arms about this issue. And I truly hope that legislation catches up sooner rather than later, but we'll see. So that's one of the main, if not the main reason why many authors are opposed to the use of AI. And while the next thing I'm going to talk about wasn't one of the response options in the BookBub survey for why authors don't want to use AI, let's be real, some authors are concerned about how it is going to affect their pocket, especially those whose livelihood depends on their writing income. I think this is a valid concern to an extent, and I believe AI will definitely make competition stiffer and market saturation a bigger hurdle to jump over. But hear me out, I also think there might be some upside to that. As the market gets flooded with more crappy, fully AI generated books, it'll just make well crafted human books stand out even more. Readers will crave that authentic human touch, and when they find an author's work that has this element, I think, maybe I'll be wrong, but I think they'll stick around and keep reading more of that author's work. At least that's my theory, and of course, only time will tell. So those are two of the major concerns that many authors had. I have to admit, an intrusive thought I had after reading the survey results was how many of those 48 authors who say that they're not using AI might actually be using it without even realizing it. If you're using tools like Grammarly or Pro Writing Aid, which for the record have tens of millions of users, then you're technically already using AI. These apps rely on AI to give you the grammar checks, style suggestions, and rephrases of your sentences that they're so widely known for. But anyway, whether we like it or not, the AI Pandora's box has already been opened. There's no going back. People are using it to help them write, and some are even using it to create entire books from scratch. I recently came across an AI tool specifically designed to write a whole novel for you. I'm not going to mention the name of this tool because I personally don't think that we should be using AI to do all of the writing for us. But I just mentioned it now because I wanted to highlight the fact that it does exist, and that's what authors are up against, especially if you're trying to make writing your full-time income. Now, at this point, you might be thinking, but what's your take on all this? What's your opinion? Do you use AI? And honestly, yes, I now use AI to assist me while writing. I'm one of those authors who believes in using it as a tool to help with research, brainstorming, creating marketing ideas and copy, mapping out plots, and proofreading my drafts. For me, it's like having a writing partner who's always available and ready to toss out ideas or help me see a story problem in a new way. What I don't do is use it to actually write my stories. I think that AI can mimic author style pretty convincingly, and it is getting better every day. It can get the rhythm and the style down well enough, but it can't replicate the soul of my writing. It can't feel the subtext. It can't pull from the layered meanings that come from my lived experience. And that's what I personally believe sets human stories apart. I'm me, the one and only me. You're the one and only you. And no other human can replicate my voice or your voice in writing, let alone in AI. That's why, honestly, personally, I'm not too worried about AI displacing me because it can never be me. And from a craft perspective, I think AI can be an amazing writing booster. It's a tool that helps enhance my creativity, not replaces it. You can ask it questions and get answers that help you think about your story in a new way or helps you see a new angle for your plot when you're stuck. That's how I use it. And honestly, I think it's made me a better writer. I write because I love it. I love crafting stories and seeing how they land with readers. Yes, I love making money from my books too, but writing is part of who I am, and I do it even if I wasn't getting paid a dime. In fact, I found that when I tried to make writing my sole income, it made writing so much more stressful because I felt like I had to do what was popular to push books. I had to write the tropes that were selling, whether or not I actually cared about them or liked them. I was even debating at one point creating a secret pen name that only wrote books with white characters just to boost my sales numbers. And yes, there is a whole therapy session in there somewhere, but that's for another day. When I took the monetary pressure away, I found the joy in writing again. And if my writing sparks an idea in someone else or helps them in some way, then that's enough for me. Despite all of the valid concerns out there about the use of I believe we can't ignore the fact that change is always happening. At one point in time, people actually said about novels are the spawn of Satan. They thought novels would rot young women's brains, make people idle, and promote immorality. Although, to be fair on the idle point, I admit when I find a good book, I could definitely sit around for hours doing absolutely nothing but reading. So maybe they had a point on that one. I don't know. And in some ways, this debate reminds me of how I've heard people say money is the root of all evil. They use this saying as the reason why they never pursued financial freedom, but the actual phrase is the love of money is the root of all evil. Money itself isn't good or bad. It all depends on how you use it. Having no money doesn't make you more virtuous than someone who does. In fact, it limits your ability to be generous to others. Bringing this all back to AI, it also is just a tool. And like any tool, it can be used for good or for harm. We humans are the ones who decide what kind of impact it has. We can use it to help us unlock the greatest limits of our creativity or to game the system and produce garbage. Hey, sorry to interrupt the video, coming to you from the editing chair. While I was going over everything, I had another thought that I wanted to share. And it was basically that I think on some levels in this debate, we have to be honest about the fact that some authors are just afraid that they're going to be left behind if they don't use AI. As I mentioned earlier in the video, we're competing against people who are using these to make full on books like within seconds. And that is the landscape of the competition nowadays. And so, if we could use AI to assist us in becoming more creative, assist us in getting over writer's block a little bit faster, or to work through our magic systems or plot holes or anything like that to help us get the books done a little bit faster, then I think it is a tool that we should think about using, especially if you want to do this viably as an income source, because I know, especially in the fantasy genre, one of the biggest complaints that people have is the fact that authors will start series and then never finish them. I mean, how long have people been waiting for the last Game of Thrones book? And like, no shade, but seriously, it is a tool that can help us to get our stories down a little bit faster. And so, why wouldn't we use all of the tools that are available to us? And they can make our stories even a little bit better. So, that's just a thought that I had using it to help you, I mean, basically not fall behind because this is the landscape of the competition now. So, yeah, just kind of a thought. So, back to the video. So that's my take on AI in writing. I'd love to hear what you think. Are you using AI already, or does it feel like something that you're not sure about? Are you excited about its uses, nervous, maybe a little bit of both? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let's get this conversation going. That's all I have for this one. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I hope this video gave you something valuable to think about in your own writing life. And if you're ready to chase your writing dreams, make sure to subscribe, and I promise I'll do everything I can to make this a space where writers feel seen, supported, inspired, and maybe just a little less alone.